What's going on, people? It's your boy Leon Maz from Leon Talks TV, back here again. So welcome back to the channel. Today I want to talk about a topic that many of us can relate to. The idea that there's no such thing as a perfect girl now. I know we all have our own ideas of what perfect partner looks like, but maybe everything that's going for her is perfect, but she doesn't take care of her appearance. Maybe it's a sense of style. The question is, should you leave her because of that, or be a bit more patient with her as that is something that can change, or that can be changed, so to speak? But let's be real, everyone has flaws. So how do we figure out what really matters in a relationship? Let's dive in. Chapter 1, the myth of perfection. First of all, let's chat about perfection. We often see movies or shows where the leading lady is flawless, but that's just not a real life. Every person has their quirks and imperfection. Think about it. It's like this, right? Imagine a beautiful, shiny apple. It looks perfect from the outside, but when you take a bite, it might be bruised or even have a worm inside. Just like the apple, people have layers, and it's important to look beyond the surface. A famous quote by the author Bryn Brown says, "Perfection is not attainable, but if we choose perfection, we can catch excellence." This means that while we might never find someone perfect, we can find someone who is excellent for us, someone who fits well into our lives. Sometimes, there's a saying, rather than go for what you want, go for what you need. You see, we live in a social media era where everything is made to look perfect. For instance, you go on Instagram and you're seeing endless women who look like 10 out of 10. And you think to yourself, that's who I should be with. But here's the thing. Sometimes those extremely beautiful women come with a lot of headaches and drama, which is what people don't tell you. Or you're listening to your favorite podcasters and he's telling you that you should get with an 18-year-old virgin that's mad submissive, mad feminine, and mad impressionable. But let's be fair and let's be realistic. Especially in this day and age, a lot of the young teenagers are very, very corrupted. In the Western world, that is. If you're someone that's living in the Western world, whether it be Canada, America, England, some European countries, Australia, a lot of these teenage girls are very corrupted from the moment they're in high school, bro. So to find a girl that's a virgin at 18 is not realistic. Do you know what I mean? Like, I lived in a town where a lot of the girls were pregnant by the time they reached 18. So you can imagine how things have gotten out of hand over the years. Another thing they might also tell you that to not get with baby mothers or women who have kids, for lack of a better word. Which I understand, don't get me wrong, I really do understand it. In an ideal world, everyone would choose a woman without kids, especially if you're someone that doesn't have kids yourself, because you want to experience it for the first time with you and your partner, right? And you don't want to be taking care of another person's responsibilities. You don't want to be a stepfather to someone else's kids. I get it, 100%. But like I said, I'll be honest again, depending on what country you're from, where single mothers are quite common, a lot of men might have to date women with kids. I'm sorry to say, especially if you have the lower your SMV is, you're going to have to do that. So to be honest with you, a lot of men have to be realistic about who they can date and what you actually qualify for. Now, of course, you can have your preferences. For example, take my cousin, for example, right? Who's in his 40s and has no kids. Ideally, doesn't want a woman with children. However, he understands that he will probably have to date a woman with a child because being in his 40s means the age gap is getting bigger every year, because he wants to find a woman in her fertility prime. And to find her is going to be harder as he gets older. In his eyes, if he finds, let's say, maybe a 25-year-old or a 28-year-old or even up to a 30-year-old who happens to have a kid, also whom he is attracted to and has all the traits he wants, he said he would jump at the chance of dating her regardless if she has a kid. But obviously, he's not going to date a woman who's over 35 with a kid, because he understands that it's a risky age for a woman to have children and the cons outweigh the pros. You see, him getting with a beautiful 28-year-old with a kid is probably a good deal. Let's say she just has the one kid, rather than, because he might say, okay, I'll date one kid, but no more than one. So I'm not dating a woman that's got 2 or 3 kids and that's over, especially if she's over in their 30s. One kid, that could be my dues. That could be something that I can negotiate, right? And listen, someone might listen to me saying this and might not agree to what I'm saying. But let's be honest, as an average man in his 40s with an average income, attracting a woman in her 20s, is it possible? Well, anything's possible. But what are the options to hand? Do you have many options in that category? It's something that you gotta ask yourself, right? So really and truly, does he have a realistic chance of getting such a woman? Or does he have to compromise? Is the question one has to ask himself. Chapter 2, understanding your non-negotiables. Now let's talk about non-negotiables. These are qualities that really are important to you in a partner. Things you absolutely can't compromise on. For example, one of my non-negotiables is being with someone who doesn't thrive on drama. I just can't handle a drama queen who constantly seeks out conflict or tries to belittle or disrespect or tries to even emasculate their partner, their man. And that or seeks out to emasculate their man or tries to be the one to wear the trousers in the relationship. Basically, someone who just consistently seeks out conflict. I mean, it's draining. And you'd be surprised. You'd be thinking that's common sense, but a lot of guys, they prefer to be dominated by women. Now, think about your own non-negotiables. Maybe you can't be with someone who smokes or someone who doesn't want kids. Especially me, someone who is a non-smoker. To be around someone who smokes would definitely be a non-negotiable for me because I just don't want to fall into that pattern or get tempted to fall into the habit of smoking again. Because it's tempting. It's tempting. You know, if you're an addict, you don't want to be you don't want to be around something that can trigger your relapse. I mean, these are personal choices that reflect your values and what you want in life. Chapter 3, patience and working on bad habits. Now, just because someone has flaws doesn't mean they're not worth your time. Sometimes we meet amazing people who have a few bad habits. Some that can be corrected, some can't. Maybe a girl has a tendency to be late or is a little messy. If she's willing to work on these things, it can be a sign of growth and maturity. Let me give an example of a girl I was dating. She was perfect, sweet, good looking, and beautifully shaped. She didn't bring any necessary drama, but she had some bad habits like going out too much and having a lot of male friends. While we were seeing each other, there was no label attached to what we had going on. But later on, she asked me, I really like you and I want more. But I expressed my concerns about her lifestyle. I didn't want to get into a relationship with someone who lived that way. I don't want someone who wants the benefits of having a boyfriend, but also wants to live like a single woman. You can't have both. And this is what I told her. See, my whole point is in this situation was to let her know that although she had good qualities that made me consider her for a serious relationship, she also had bad habits that I didn't take seriously for a relationship. I remember asking her, here's the thing, you have to ask yourself if you can honestly keep up that lifestyle to have a healthy relationship. My concerns was that I didn't want to tell her to go up when she really wanted to go down. If I suggested going up, I wanted her to also want to go up because I'm not in the habit of changing someone who doesn't want to be changed. But it's all about finding someone that is willing to change. Chapter 4, the importance of communication. Another key aspect is communication. You see, when she asked me what the deal was between me and her and she wanted more, I expressed my concerns off the bat before I went into that relationship, or so to speak, right? Because what you don't want to do is keep quiet and then get into that relationship. And then halfway down into that relationship or a year or two later, you start bringing up those concerns. And then now she's going to throw that thing in your face. Oh, this is how you met me. You was okay with it in the beginning. But because maybe for whatever reason, you didn't want to upset her. Maybe you was insecure about losing her. You know, whatever the reason is, you didn't tell her. And now you're stuck in a situation. And she ain't going to respect it because at the end of the day, she's going to look at you as insecure. Because if you tell her from right off the bat that these are your concerns, and if you're not willing to confine to that, that's cool. Live your life. I'll live mine separately, you know? So these are the things it's very important to just let them know. Now, I didn't say nothing off the bat, but when she asked me for a relationship, I felt it was my duty to tell her what was up. Because before that, we was just casually dating. So I didn't really feel like I needed to say anything. Until she wanted me to take her seriously and make her as my girlfriend. With that being said, her being my girlfriend comes with a different type of responsibility because now you're representing me, and not only you're representing me, but it's my reputation on the line. So, so if you notice something about your partner that bothers you, it's important to talk about it. For example, if your partner smokes and you're not comfortable with that, it's okay to express your feelings. Just remember to do it in a kind and understanding way. You might say something like, I care about you and I want us to be healthy together. Good communication helps partners understand each other better and can lead to positive changes. It's all about finding that balance between acceptance and the desire for improvement. Conclusion. So, to wrap it up, there's no such thing as a perfect girl, and that's completely okay. The key is to know your non negotiables and be willing to be patient and understanding with the imperfections that come with being human. Remember the quote from Bernie Brown about chasing excellence instead of perfection. Finding someone who's excellent for you, someone who shares your values and is willing to grow, can lead to a fulfilling relationship. I'd love to hear your thoughts. What are your non negotiables? Have you ever had to work through someone's flaws? Share your experiences in the comments below. Thanks for watching and don't forget to like and subscribe for more content. See you next time.